In this video, we'll be walking through the setup and basic use of our 18V ONE HP Brushless 165mm tracksaw. Laying everything out, you'll find the saw itself, two 700mm tracks with two track connector bars, a track clamp, a riving knife, a 40-tooth carbide tip blade, and an operator's manual. You can use the tracks individually, or you can join them up for up to 1400mm of controlled, accurate cutting. You can even purchase additional tracks separately if you need a longer track. Assembling the track. To attach the tracks, you will need the smaller of the supplied wrenches located in the back of the saw. Use this to loosen the connector bars on the bottom side of one of your tracks. Then slide them both out so that they protrude about halfway. Slide these ends into the corresponding slots on the other track. Then rest a straight edge, like a spirit level, across the joint to ensure the two sections are aligned straight across. Fasten the connector bars on both tracks to secure them in place. Now slide the track clamp into either one of the two slots on the bottom of the track. This is used to fasten the track onto the material being cut. Setting up the saw. With the battery removed, we're ready to install the blade and riving knife on the track saw. Start by setting the depth control lever at the top of the saw all the way down to the blade change setting. Then push the handle down to expose the blade screw in the side of the blade guard. You should feel it lock into place. Locate the blade wrench from the rear of the saw, which is the larger of the two. Press and hold the spindle lock button. Then use the wrench to remove the blade screw. Carefully slide the blade into place, then again while holding the arbor locked down. Fasten the arbor until it's firmly tightened. While still in the blade change mode, we can now install the riving knife using the blade wrench. Insert the wrench through the access hole in the side of the guard and loosen the securing fastener. Slide the riving knife all the way into place until it's approximately 5mm from the blade. Then firmly tighten the fastener. It's important that you always operate the saw with the riving knife installed when making rip cuts to prevent kickback. However, the riving knife will need to be removed to make plunge cuts and score cuts. With the track saw setup completed, let's look at different cut settings. Starting with the depth control lever located at the top of the saw. In addition to the blade change setting, it also has the plunge cut and a score cut setting. Down at the base of the saw, we have two bevel adjustment knobs at the front and back of the saw that allow you to bevel from -1 to 48 degrees. Note that to reach the -1 bevel setting, you'll have to slide this bevel tab out of the way. Next, we have two track adjustment knobs. These allow you to secure the saw to the track, eliminating any side-to-side movements during cuts. Be careful not to fasten these too tightly, which can cause excessive friction when sliding on the track. Lastly, we have an anti-tip adjustment knob to keep the saw from tipping over and losing contact with the track when making bevel cuts. Before making the first cut, you'll need to trim the rubber track strip according to the kerf or thickness of your blade to ensure the highest cut accuracy. To do this, you'll need to have a length of scrap timber that's slightly longer than the track to perform a score cut on. For this type of cut, remove the riving knife. After securing the track to the material and fastening the saw to the track, set the depth control lever into the score cut setting. Insert the battery and position the saw so the blade isn't resting on the timber. Then squeeze the trigger and allow a second or so for the saw to reach full speed before starting the cut. Once you've completed the cut along the full length of the track, your new RYOBI tracksaw is set up and ready to make our first rip cut. First, use clamps to secure the material, checking that the cutting line is clear of what you're clamping to. Then use the track clamp to secure the track to the material. Because I'm making a rip cut, I'll need to reinstall the riving knife, starting by removing the battery and following the steps shown earlier. Then set the depth control lever to the plunge setting and adjust the depth of cut so that the teeth of the blade are no more than 6 mm below the bottom of the material. This allows for maximum cutting efficiency. Now secure the saw to the track and install the battery. Position the saw and squeeze the trigger. Again, remember to let the blade reach full speed before starting the cut. And for safety, once you've released the trigger, allow the blade to come to a complete stop before raising the blade out of the material. To learn more how-to tips and tricks, go to ryobi.com.au or check out our YouTube channel. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified of our latest releases.
RYOBI, a cut above.